All right, let's talk about the Los Angeles Rams. Everyone, when it comes to the Rams, seems to focus on the star power on this team, mainly on offense. Of course, you look at veterans like Stafford and Kupp, superstars that are on the younger side like Puka Nacua. Kyron Williams is making some noise as well. But when you really look at the strength of this Rams team long term, it's about their youth movement on defense and continuing to develop some of these nice young players into superstars. And if you listen to Rams coach Sean McVey and his strategy involving one in particular, Rams fans should get really excited. In fact, let's pull up this report, then we'll talk about it more in detail on the other side. This is courtesy of SI.com. Eighth-year Los Angeles Rams head coach Sean McVey has taken the time to rave at length about rising second-year linebacker Byron Young. After singling the 2023 PFWA All-Rookie out for praise in conversation with former defensive end Chris Long, McVey explained in nuanced detail exactly why Young was thriving and how he's developing to take the next leap already with a productive spring through OTAs and mandatory minicamp activities with the franchise. Now it's just continuing to say, repetition is the mother of learning. What's my primary? What's my complementary? Let me master that. Let me understand and own where my opportunities are for taking calls. Different things like that. I think he did a really great job. Even just something as simple as when you're playing out of a 2-point early on in some of these rundowns, 2-point stance. So again, not like a traditional linebacker setup there. When you're playing out of a 2-point early on in some of these rundowns and it's not a no pass, how about not false stepping? McVey said he's done a really great job, and I'm excited about where he can go, and I thought he was one of the bright spots in the spring for sure. What McVey is talking about is a critical thing that every young player has to do to take the next step, the little things, focusing on that, honing his craft, and it looks like Young is doing exactly that, and that's a great sign for the Rams. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but first, Rams fans in the comment section below, talking linebackers here, talking about defensive players. Who is the greatest Rams linebacker in team history, right? There's obviously a lot of great names to choose from, but you can only pick one. Give us one guy that you think is the best linebacker in Rams history and put him in the comment section below. And while you're down there answering that question, make sure you check out the description box. We've got a bunch of great recommendations for some NFL books, some great reading, so you can become the smartest person in the comment section. Make sure you check that out as well. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this latest Rams news involving Young here?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is great news for the Rams because when you look at this Rams defensive line, this defensive front, talking about 3 down linemen, 2 edge rushers on the side, it is very young. You have Kobe Turner, second-year guy, along with Young. You have Fisk and Verge, who are also rookies. Then you have Brown at the center of it all, who's the oldest of them, but he's only coming out of his 3rd year into his 4th year as a player in the NFL. So, I mean, this is a really, really young unit as far as the front of this Rams defense. So to have a guy already coming in and stepping up to be kind of like the guy to take the next step, I think that's huge for the Rams. We know Kobe Turner is going to be really, really good. But as far as the edge rushers go, you want a guy like Young to come out here, and I think it's so critical what McVey said. He's already thinking about doing the little thing. Do I fake a rush here? Am I in this stance here? Am I in that stance here? Having somebody who goes through all of the nuances, watches the film, knows exactly what they need to do is going to be critical in building a veteran-type leader for these young players. So I think the fact that Young is really honing in and just dialing in exactly what he needs to be as a player and what is going to be the most nuanced approach to the game is big for the Rams because he then in turn will be knowledgeable enough to lead these other young players on this defensive front. And that's what you lose with Aaron Donald. You lose the veteran of this defensive front. You lost the guy that was the clear-cut leader of this defensive front. He can really show everyone the ropes, show them what to do. I think that's what Young is starting to transform into. I think outside of just a huge jump in play, we're going to see a huge jump in leadership for him as well.
Oh, I think that's undeniable. And look, one of the things that really has to be applied for when you're trying to be more consistent is technique, right? Anyone who's ever played golf at all understands that if you play golf enough, if you have some sort of athleticism, every once in a while, no matter what, you'll have a great shot. But it's all about the technique. Getting that right and replicating it is how you actually become a good golfer and a consistent golfer. And if you look at Young's rookie year, he had a lot of great games all over the map in terms of different competencies. So, for example, he would have a game where his tackling grade would be, he had 3 straight games where his tackling grade was in the mid-70s. That's pretty good. He also had 3 games where his tackling grade was below 30. That's terrible. We're talking consistency problems. Look at the pass rush grade. He had an 88.7 pass rush grade against the Arizona Cardinals, right? That's pretty darn good. He had a 50-point pass rush grade against Seattle Seahawks and then a 52 pass rush grade the second time against the Arizona Cardinals. That's obviously not very good as well. How about overall? 2 games where he had over an 85 grade defensively. He also had a number of games where he was in the low 50s, high 40s. I'm looking at the Steelers here and I'm looking at the Cleveland Browns. So again, we're seeing consistency issues with Young. He's got the talent. He has the ability to make the plays, which is the first step. You got to have the ability to at least do it some of the time. Now it's about consistency. And when it comes to consistency, it's about technique. It's about the little things. That's what McVey and his coaching staff is having Young focus on this offseason, which is obviously the smart strategy. Is what they should be doing. But I think the great news is that Young is receiving that coaching and applying it and fixing a lot of those problems. Because if he can improve his consistency, which it looks like he is, we're not talking about a guy who's a playmaker, 1 week and kind of average the next week. We're talking about a guy who's going to be a star week in and week out for this Rams defense. And if this young Rams team keeps turning these young guys into stars, people will obviously, Aaron Donald, you'll never forget a guy like him, of course, but just the incredible volume of young talent that they have getting better and better, they'll be able to replace him at least somewhat. And this team won't just return to the playoffs as kind of a feel-good story, kind of like they were last year. They'll return to the playoffs with a serious threat to win it all.